Hey, hey, hey. We are here. We are live. Welcome. Good evening. Hello. Bonjour.
Hold on.
That was team too much.
I'm getting an echo.
Are you?
Yeah, hold on.
We don't need that. I was like, is it on
Hold on.
my
Wait,
side? It's
wait,
actually good tonight.
hold
Hi, everyone. As he fixes his echo problem, how is everyone doing? I see people are coming in early. Clearly, this is going to be a conversation. I must have really chose a good title tonight because y'all are here for this conversation. Are you good?
I'm good. Add two tabs open. All right, what's going on, everybody?
Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Okay, we are here. So again, welcome to another week of F Your Feelings, the show where we're trying to change the conversation around Black relationships. If you don't know me, I'm Toshiba. I am the founder of the show, and my co-host is.
Twins Inc. That be me.
So welcome. I'm just gonna almost get into it, like almost right away. But before that, how was your weekend?
My weekend was chilled, unlike yours, but my weekend was good.
First of okay, my weekend was very chill. Thank you. I was on the streets. It's a week. Listen, summer in Toronto only lasts like 2 3 months. And when it is summer in Toronto, you have to be outside. And because I work from home as well, like I'm in the house all day. And so when I get a chance to go out, I'm outside. And I totally forgot I went live. It was a day party. It's I can tell you when you come to Toronto, like I'm a day party person. Get me out and party wraps at about 9:30, 10, and I can be home to take a shower and watch an episode of Dateline and go to bed. Like these like late night parties, not for me anymore. Can't do it.
I get it.
I
I got
used to be good at it, really good at it. I could flip it through. I could go Thursday to Sunday and still go to work and school and classes and all the things that I used to do. Now, if I'm going to a party and we have to leave the house at like 11:30 midnight, I take like a couple of naps throughout the day. I'm like, why did this happen?
this young generation don't know about doing all nighters and going to work the next day.
Yeah,
Still with the sticker on your wrist that well, 21 years older past you can drink. They don't know nothing about that.
going to school, finishing things, having a full day of work, and like literally taking a shower and doing it again on Friday. Like it was a thing. And now I'm at the age at 44, like late night party. I'm like, no, give me a day party. Starts at 3, ends at 10. We get there for 5 o'clock. We have a really good time, have some drinks, and then I'm watching Dateline. Like, no, thank you. Oh, speaking of all of that, as I just like made myself sound really old, we are going to get into tonight's conversation that actually was sparked by a conversation that we had last week that I felt like, you know what, this is something that we need to speak more about because I think you and I both know that there are so many conversations on the internet about this modern versus traditional woman. And I decided to add a twist to it. So I decided to add the provider protector male because the reality is, if we're looking at the concept of traditional woman, a traditional woman wants a provider and protector male, and so does a modern woman. So, do these two things exist? Does the traditional woman still exist? And does the provider man still exist? So, that's the conversation we're having tonight. But before we get into that, just to remind each other about our conversation last week, I'm going to play a quick clip of what we were talking about last week, and then we're going to get into our conversation in 5 4 3 2 1 and go.
Marriages are not traditional anymore, right? And I say they're not traditional anymore because we don't have traditional women out there.
But do you think that there are a bunch of traditional men walking around these days?
I think there's a lot of traditional men out there. Well, when I say traditional, let me go back real quick. When I say traditional, I'm referring to marriage, right? The men out there who want to get married are marrying a woman based on traditional standard, right?
Okay.
The provider, protector, all that stuff. I'm the head of the house, X, Y, Z. We don't have these traditional women out there anymore that's following that. These women out here now want to be, well, I'm the boss. I can do this too. Okay, I want to be in a partnership.
I don't want to do it too.
You understand what I'm saying? So it just it just the men out like the whole marriage needs to be thrown out now. Like it needs to be.
Oh,
I wouldn't say thrown out, but I had this conversation on the
hope
podcast.
my boyfriend is not watching the show. Babe, marriage does not need to be thrown.
Not thrown out, but it needs to be revamped.
So, you said that women are not traditional anymore, and go.
I did.
There you go, sir.
All last week. That was me.
That was you. So let's get into it, because I am curious as I like switch up my thing so we can be more matched here. Okay, get into it. I want to hear more about that thought.
About the woman out.
Yes, you said you and your boys talk about this, right? The idea of the fact that there is no traditional woman. First of all, what is the definition of a traditional woman from Twins' perspective?
Ooh, I like that one from my perspective, not the
Yes.
whole perspective.
Not the whole men, because you can't speak for all men.
Right. So for me, a traditional woman would be a lady who's nurturing, right? She's someone who's, in a sense, when I'm away from the house, right? She is like the captain, co-captain of the house as well, right? You know, because if I'm out there getting the bread, the water, you know how that goes. I'm handling the business out in the street, right? And that's me doing my job, not me running the street with other girls. I'm actually out there getting the bread, working, providing for the family, right? So she's my co-captain while I'm gone, right? And then when I come home, she relieves her duties because now I'm home, in a sense, right? But not to the fact that where as soon as I walk through the door, is like, oh, I need this done, that done. The kids did this, beat them here up. Like, no, not that, not that. That's chaos right there, right? That would make a man pull up to the house and just sit in front of the house, like, whew, let me get ready to go in this house. But anyway, the traditional woman will be the peaceful woman, right? That the peaceful, nurturing. I don't get into old school as far as like she need to cook. I mean, well, I need my lady to cook. Definitely. I'm not a cook at all. I can't cook, but I don't want to cook. It's a difference.
I love how you said cook. It was very Jamaican when you said cook.
Right. There's levels to this. But what I'm saying that like some people will say, well, she need to wash, like clean and wash clothes and all. I wash my own clothes. Okay. So that's not a problem. I wash my own clothes. I clean after myself. So there's certain things that I don't require her to do because I do those things myself, right? So each person is going to be different as far as what they want or what they need, or versus a man. But for me, I need somebody who's going to be there for me when I get there, right? I need someone that when I walk through the door, you know, either give me the hug and minus any check down list. Just give me that hug. Hey, go and do what you gotta do, and come and see us afterwards once you get yourself together, right? You know, decompress, right? Definitely need the food when because I'll be hungry. You know what I'm saying? I like to eat, so I definitely want a plate ready for me when I get home, especially if I'm going all day. Let's see, what else? Aside of that, you know what I'm saying? I play a part as far as raising my kids. So it's not that she has to maintain the kids all by herself like that. Like that's no. I would say I'm a very strict father. Not as strict as my dad was. I'm a little softer than our parents were growing up because you know I'm pretty sure you can relate. Right, you can relate. If you was the '80s babies and '70s babies, your parents were a little different, right? We are not our parents. We're just a better version of our parents, and we know what worked and what didn't work. So what I'm saying is this: when I'm gone, she doesn't have to bear the stressful life of the day to day as far as being a wife, right? If she works or not work, right? She can do either or. She don't have to bear that burden of the world all on her shoulders because I established the household to make sure it's not as chaotic. Kids will be kids. We know that. That's not a problem. But I'm very structured. I'm a structured man when it comes to my household and my kids. So with all that being said, I know I say a lot. I just need my woman to be, you know, submissive, right? Definitely in her femininity. You know what I'm saying? I need her to be soft. You know what I'm saying? I need her to be my, from a lot of people out there who are into Marvel comics, The Incredible Hulk is the big green guy who gets mad and he just gets bigger, he gets stronger, he gets frustrated. But when this little woman, this little Betty come by, whatever, she calms that big monster down and he comes back to himself, to his senses. That's what I need when I come home. I need that woman to take this, just touch me in the hand. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I'm safe now. I'm home. But I'll land my plane and let you go from there.
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat because I was actually looking down because I was taking notes. Okay, so because this is important.
Yes.
So what I heard is she's nurturing.
Yes.
She's a co-captain.
Yes.
She's peaceful.
Yes.
She will greet you when you get home and also give you that space to decompress.
Yes.
She knows how to cook because you want home cooked meals.
Yes.
The benefit for her is she can choose to work or not, which is great. But she does need to be submissive, feminine, and you're calm in the storm. Did I get that right?
Yep. You got it.
So explain to me, as a man, why this list is so hard to come by, because you're saying that this type of woman doesn't exist. And as I look at my notes, I know plenty of women like this. I personally know plenty of women like this. I am the woman on this list. I am. I mean, all of these things.
I mean, it sounds good, right? You know what I'm saying? I hear that all the time. I'm that woman. And then when you put to that test and it happens, you're not that girl.
But what is the test that a woman would be put through? Because we're all tested, right? Relationships all go through tests. So what is it that a woman would, what all of us, because to me, being nurturing is innate, right? Like, I think it's either you're nurturing or you're not. It's not something that I can put on, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to be nurturing for you, but not for the other person over here. I'm just actually personally, I'm a woman who's naturally nurturing. So I find that nurturers are naturally nurturing. They take care of kids, old people, their man, whatever the case might be. So what happens to make a woman's nature turn from being completely nurturing to not at all? Like, I feel like did you maybe judge her incorrectly that she was putting on being nurturing, but it was to get you to choose her?
I can tell you that I can tell you exactly what changed or what it was. It's KIDS.
Oh, well, kids ruin everything. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's actually a show called Children Ruin Everything.
But listen.
Sure.
I like that you said that. Kids ruin everything, right?
Sure.
But I didn't stop or change anything that I was doing. As far as the man part, right? I'm speaking in general, not like directly me. What I'm saying is that as far as being a provider, protector, going out there, making sure the peace at home, you know what I'm saying? Air that on a list I just told you, right? That list I ran down. Those things didn't change. Those were the things that I was before kids and during kids. Okay.
Here's that does happen. Here is the thing that people forget is that motherhood and fatherhood, whether we like it or not, it's very different. Like I say to everybody, I have not slept in almost 23 years. My daughter is almost 23. That's why I haven't slept in almost 23 years. And for the first 2 to 3 years of my daughter's life, she was literally attached to me. She wanted to do everything with mommy. For the first 6 to 9 months of her life, she literally did do everything with me, like everything. I showered with that kid. I took a with the child. Like, she was just attached to me. She slept in our bed because the moment you took her away from mommy, it was awful. Daddy, she loved him. That's great. Yay, play, throw her up in the air. But mommy, she wanted to be with me. And so parenthood changes us very differently. And I think one of the things that we forget is to have a conversation to talk about when children enter the picture, how are we going to ensure that our relationship stays the way we need it to stay? Understanding that this little person is now going to require so much of you that there are days you do not know what else you have to give. How do we make sure that we're maintaining us? And I think we go into parenthood so ill prepared for what that change is going to be. And then when things start changing, we go, but things are changing. Well, we brought another human being into the world, so they're changing. So I'd be curious to know, is it that the communication wasn't there to say, okay, we're about to be parents. What will that mean for us as a couple?
So the kids do play a part, but what really changed is that when things get difficult or hard or challenging, the ladies don't stick to the game plan. Like whatever it may be, I still got to take care of home, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like once they get to that breaking point, I need a break. I need this. I'm not doing this. You know what? This whole week long, I'm not cooking. This whole week, I'm not doing this. This whole week, I'm not like that's what I'm talking about. That traditional part woman, the old school woman probably been still upset, but she still take care. She might have been mad at her man or whatever the case may be, right? But she still made a plate. Even though she's mad as hell at him, she still had that plate sitting on the table for him. Regardless how she felt, she still had that plate there. Women today, there's no plate. They mad. They ain't doing nothing. That's what I mean. And what happened is with in that mix of that, there's no accountability. There's no one telling that lady or guy to make sure you stay on your P's and Q's. Regardless whatever y'all go through, you still have to stick to the game plan, regardless how y'all feel. You know, you heard the saying, never go to bed mad. It sounds good, but there's plenty of times I went to bed mad, she went to bed mad, we just didn't talk about it. You understand what I'm saying?
No, and I completely get that part. And this is where I play devil's advocate, right? Because I 100% agree. I don't like to go to bed angry. Like, I will talk it through. I might be mad at you, but I still need to eat. And so I'm gonna cook and put your food, and even if you're not home, wrap it with the toilet paper and put it on the counter. When you come home, you can eat. Like, I'm still gonna do all of that. With that said, I also understand that there are changes hormonally that happen within women, especially when we have babies. So how do you account for the fact that that's going to happen? Hold on, let me just, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. So if she says, I need help, because I think one of the hardest things for us to do as women is to sometimes admit that we can't do all the things we want to do, right? Especially as Black women, because everybody wants us to be super women, and sometimes it's like, I can't do all this shit. So if your former spouse were to say, listen, I just need help. This is hard. I need help. Can we get somebody in here for a week or two that is going to, cook the meals or whatever the case might be, so that I can get back to me, so that I can be a better me for you? Do you, in your mind, think that still makes her more of a modern woman because she's asking for help? Because for me, it's like, maybe that's what we need to do more of, is to ask for help to get back to ourselves so we can get back to being good wives.
I like that. No, I mean, if you ask for that help and we sit down to the table and have a conversation as far as the game plan to make things less stressful to you, I'm open for that. And that will still make you traditional, right? 'Cause understand, you're human. We're all human, right? So that part, I'm definitely open to do that, right? But normally that doesn't happen, right? It's just that I'm not going to do it, and that's what it is. And I want to add another layer to that, right? So as a lady, as you just stated, you have these hormones and everything going on with yourself, and I get it. It happens, right? But then y'all will just shut down, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be. It could be sex, it could be cooking, it could be just cleaning, whatever it may be. I'm just throwing anything out there, right? But as a man, we have emotions too, right? But we don't have like y'all. But there's times we don't feel like doing stuff. But guess what? We still do it because, one, it has to get done.
I agree with that.
And it's plenty of times I could have been like, I don't feel like working. I'm not going to work. Well, how bills get paid? I don't know. I'm not paying no bills this whole month. You think I can do that? You think I can get away with that?
No, you cannot. No, 100. It's not going to fly in my house. These bills have to get paid. these lights have to stay on and this food has to be cooked. It has to be bought so that I can cook it. And so, I mean, let's, I'm going to pause there for a second and say, ladies, well, that's how you make your house better. The reality is we do need to ask for help, right? Like we do need to be in a situation that you're forthcoming with your spouse and or your partner, your fiance, whomever it is, and say, listen, I need help. This, especially when you add kids into the mix, this parenting shit is hard. And I just need a moment because I don't feel like myself. I know that I went through that briefly during when I had my daughter, where I didn't always just feel like myself because, again, I had this little human being that was attached to me. So I think, you know, it's asking for help and being honest and being open about the fact that this shit has changed our lives and it's hard. And this is what I need in order to continue to be the best. But let's remove children out of it for a second.
You just reading my mind.
The children.
Good, because I got another scenario. So I was going there. So, like you just said, let's take the kids out of the situation, right? So, yeah, no, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. So, so this is no kids scenario, right? So, I find it very weird or challenging that you can be very submissive when it comes to your job versus being submissive to me. You know what I'm saying? So, just a random example. You know, you go to work, you know, your boss say, hey, you can't wear a skirt that doesn't go down to your knee, right? Right. And you'll comply with no problem, right? But then if I ask you as your man, hey, can you wear a skirt that goes above your knee? I get a bunch of pushback. And y'all are, like, that's weird. Like, I get it. It's your job, right? We all have jobs. We know we got bosses. We all understand that process. But the thing is this, that job can lay you off any given time. And if they do lay you off, Gus here's going to be here to catch you and hold you down. Your
husband, your fiance, your man.
And I want to speak vice versa. It's the same thing both ways, ladies. But I'm speaking from the guy's point of view. She can provide her side. But yes, I'm going to hold you down regardless, right? Another example, and this is, once again, just no kids. So this is a kind of pet peeve with me a little bit. So, you know, we all work, we have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll come home, you'll tell me about your day, and you'll tell me about your boss or whatever case may be, whatever's going on, right? Cool. We'll talk about it, work on a game plan. For me, I don't want to keep hearing about the same scenario over and over again. Okay, here's the options. Either A, we look for another job, or we stop talking about it. If you're not going to make no change about it, if you're not going to do anything additional about it to improve it or fix it, whatever, I don't want to keep hearing about it. Right? And it's like, you know, you don't care. I do care, but you coming home and unloading your day about XYZ on me, meaning, you know, on top of me, I came in and unload my day to you because you ladies are very emotional. So I have to suck up my day that I was going through and be counselor to my woman. Like, okay, babe, well, here's the game plan. Here's what we're going to do. Meanwhile, I'm dealing with the whole world behind me, but I can't release that to you because you're going to start crying. You're going to start making it about you. It's like, okay, well, I guess talking to you is not going to be it today. I guess I'll try tomorrow. And then tomorrow's another scenario. So eventually, man, we have that shit bottled up in us. We really can't get it out. I'm gonna stop right there for a second. I see you. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna start with scenario number one.
Okay.
I've heard this argument before because I used to hear it from my now ex. And it was something that I 100% agreed with. I think the issue is we don't consider relationships a job, and they are. Because we can be fired and we can be promoted within relationships, right? And the moment we start realizing that this is also a job, and you can be fired and promoted, maybe we would look at it differently. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in the love and the emotion and all of that stuff, and that's all wonderful and great, but fuck feelings, right? Fuck your feelings, right? This is still a job. You still have to show up every day in a relationship. You have to show up as your best self, even when you don't sometimes want to in a relationship. And you have to understand what your partner wants from you and what you can give to them and vice versa, right? So I think that's one of the things is, as women especially, we don't always see relationships as job. I understand that my relationship is a job. It is this, I have to clock in and clock out the same way, but it's a 24/7 job. And 24/7, I'm expected to show up for my partner, and I expect him to show up for me. And the moment they stop showing up for you, that's when you've got to go, because you're starting to realize like they're putting in more effort into something that I say all the time. Listen, guess what? If I pass away, my job description is up in 24 to 48 hours, maybe 72. Maybe they might wait 3 days, but Toshiba's passed away. Well, we need somebody to replace her job. While my partner, my significant other, would more. It may take them years, months, or maybe never to move on from, right? Like my passing, where your job is very quick to do that. So I think that we have to change our mindsets about relationships. So that's what I would say about scenario number one. And that goes for both men and women. Stop thinking about it as the love and the feelings, and think about it as a job you have to show up for. And I think scenario number two is interesting, because I think it goes back to something that we've talked about many, many weeks ago, is that making that time to have those check-ins and those conversations. I think one of the things as couples that people don't do enough of is setting the stage for the good times and the bad times in the relationships in different scenarios. So for me, it would be where, okay, after you've been greeted and you do decompress, are we setting time for each other to be able to have that moment in those conversations, right? Because, hey, you know what? You're going to get 20 minutes and I'm going to get 20 minutes, and then we're done with it. Because the grand scheme of things, if it doesn't impact what happens in this house, then we don't need to spend any more time on that, right? We get 20 minutes to go through it, think about the possible outcomes and solutions. We say whatever, we agree on something, and then you get 20 minutes, and then we go on to loving each other, because the outside world should not be impacting our inside, because that's our solace. That's our happy space. And now with someone like me who works from home, so I'm constantly having to deal with work at home, it's very important for me in my relationship that it's like, this is the time we have to deal with this, and then we're done with it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So I think that's where that communication comes in, because again, going back to scenario number one, this relationship thing is work. And it's hard work. It's still a job. It's still something we need to do. And you're constantly changing how things are. This is why I was a fan of the relationship contract, right? And really talking things through and coming to an agreement. And when any circumstances change in your life, whether it's a job promotion, somebody gets fired, whatever the things might be, like something changes that changes the dynamic of the relationship, sitting down and talking about what does this look like now in this new scenario. I think we get into relationships and we're just going, and never stop to say, hold on, where are we right now? Because so much has happened in the last few months or last few years or whatever the case might be. And so that would be my thing. But I think it's for both of us to have that conversation, and it's for both of us to establish those rules in the very beginning. That's my 2 cents. And relationships can have egos, right? So for me, I think part of this modern women conversation that I hear is women coming into relationships with egos.
You said what? You said egos?
With the ego, right? With this idea of having this ego of themselves, of I make this amount of money, I'm that all by myself, I'm Miss Independent, Q Neo, right? Like it's all of this me, and what are you going to do for me? And if you can't do nothing for me, then what I talk about, that seems to be the conversation I hear when men start describing modern women. It's very much about them and what they bring, and they're the table, and it's centered around money, and I don't want to be a slave to my man because I'm, independent, again, Q Neo. But I think at the same time, if you are a man who is looking for a traditional woman, why would you ever entertain a modern one? Because if y'all men are talking about what this modern woman, like the signs of a modern woman, are those signs not easy to see and decipher right in the beginning? Or maybe I'm wrong.
A lot of people will put up a facade, so they'll kind of play those. Like one thing, being older now, I learn when I'm dating someone, I don't tell them everything as far as what I'm looking for into a woman. Because when I do that now, they start checking things off, or
They start morphing into that person.
they'll mold themselves to be those things, right? So
Yeah.
I try to kind of stay away from those conversations, even though I just put out now on the World Wide Web, but it's okay. I got more questions, but so that's the challenging part. People will show you who they are, and then later as time keep going, they'll slowly start showing who they really are. So yeah.
So isn't that it's so then just say F you and be out. Like for me, like I'll be honest, like I prefer a provider male. That's the type of men that I prefer. A man starts talking to me about us living together and me paying 50-50. There's no more conversation to be had. That's not what I want, right? Like that's my daddy would spin in his urn. Rest in peace, daddy. Right? Like it's not going to happen. So I don't even continue to entertain that conversation because you've already said we're not on the same page. We don't want the same things. We don't see things the same way. So thank you very much, sir. But like, I've got to exit stage left. Like, I don't even bother to entertain that because what's the point? Like, we're not on the same page. To your point, I'm not necessarily saying in a conversation, hey, I expect a man to do that. But throughout conversations, when we're asking particular questions and feeling each other out and asking questions about scenarios and where do you see your life, and if you were to be married, how would you structure your marriage, how do the finances look, I start digging deeper. And once I dig deep and hit on something that I'm like, okay, well that's not for me, and at 44 years old I'm not going to try to convince a man otherwise that this is the life he should set up because of me, then I'm out. I just say I don't think we're aligned, and I think it's been great getting to know you. But I think we would be better suited for other people. So for my thing is, the thing I guess that frustrates me when I hear these conversations online about men talking about, well, women are no longer traditional and they're all modern. I'm like, you're the one who's choosing. So how are you not vetting these women and then just dismissing them to get to the woman that you want? Why entertain a woman who isn't these things on the list that you say that you?
I'll say this in your scenario, because at this point now, you're talking to men. You're not talking to boys, right? So let's be very clear. But also, what also helps you out with talking with men is that you're intentional with your dating, and also with the conversation you have. You ask a lot of questions, right? And then when they say, oh, yeah, I'm looking for somebody to pay 50-50, boom, you're done. See, those conversations don't happen like that with us when it comes to women, because majority of the time when it comes to that, we're, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one's going to ever say, hey, I'm looking for a man who want to do 50-50 with me. That's never come out ever, right? So that conversation right there, or that talking point, that will never be had on the first conversation, right? We won't know that till later on, right? But
But how much later on? Because if you are, to your point, if men are intentional, listen, and we're talking to grown people, right? This show talks to grown people who are intentional about getting in a successful Black relationship. So for me, within 3 conversations, you need to be hitting some of these important points, in my opinion, my very humble opinion. Within 3 conversations, and I'm not talking about text conversations, I'm talking about real grown people on the phone or video calling or in-person conversations. I think there's some key things that you want to be hitting on, where people want to be in life, how they see their life, some of their past, if they have any unhealed trauma. Like, there's certain things that I'm not interviewing you, but the way I flow a conversation, I'm getting these things out of you because I want to better understand, is this someone that I can deal with? Or is it someone that I just need to move on from because I only have so much limited time? So again, for me, when I hear these conversations, among men, I'm just kind of like, if you're vetting women correctly, then why is this even a conversation? Because you should be able to see within a very limited amount of time that this chick ain't shit. Like, she's not hitting these nurturing and co-captain and feminine and submissive and all of that. It shouldn't be hard to determine that. Or am I wrong?
No, not really. I mean, I'm new onto the market, but I would say from my short period of time of chit chatting with some of these ladies out here, the conversation has been very short. Very, I'm very just next swipe. Like, yeah. So I'm trying to speak in general, but now, like, in general, in my situation where I'm at now at 42, my conversation is totally different. I do a lot of listening, and the more you talk, I just kind of, okay, yeah, next, swipe, okay. So I'm doing the vetting now because at this point now, I'm in the driver's seat now. See, the one thing I think I told you before is that the one thing, once you create a divorced man, is game over. He's never the same afterwards. He's not going to take much crap. And when I say divorced man, this is the man who was the provider, protector. He did everything. He was trying to do everything to his best of his knowledge. Not saying that he was perfect, but he was trying to do everything best to his knowledge to provide for his family and keep the family together. Once he gets dragged and to go through the whole divorce process, when he make it out of that, the vetting process, who I pick and choose, is totally different. Like, at this point now, I'm very blunt with the conversation. I don't care how you feel or how it makes you feel. Oh man, my cell phone bill due. Pay it. Like, I don't care. Like, okay, why are you telling me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you're XYZO. Why you don't hear me on the phone talking about, oh, I need help paying my child support. Oh, I need help paying my car note. Oh, I don't talk about that, so I don't want to hear about your bills. We all got bills. We grown. Let's talk about something else. Oh, time out. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. I just want to get all that. So in conversations, when you meet women, they're telling you that their phone bills are due and that they have bills to pay?
I hear it all.
Hold on. So in the course of a conversation, a woman's going to say, oh, my lights are about to get cut off or something, or my cell phone, I might not be able to talk to you tomorrow because my cell phone might be cut off. Like, how does these conversations? I have never in my life.
Kind of like that, yes. Oh, my phone get cut off. So, if I don't talk tomorrow, they're not asking, but they're indirect asking. You know what I'm saying? Like, we grown. I'm not dumb. Oh, my cell phone's get paid, but I don't know if it pays. So if I don't talk tomorrow, that's why. As a man, you like, well, shit, how much is it? You know what I'm saying? You want to do it, right? The old me is like, okay, well, how much is it? The mature me is like, oh, okay. Don't worry. I'll find someone else to talk to tomorrow if you ain't free. Next.
But to my point, though, like, I am never in my life, ever, even to my husband, who I was married to, I lived under his roof and he paid our bills. Not even to my ex-fiance, I lived under his roof and he paid the bill. Did I ever just go up and be like, honey, my cell phone's gonna be off? Or like, it's just, I've never in a scenario done that. However, I'm also not that type of woman who would ever. I'm just gonna figure it out and make it work. Especially in the dating, getting to know each other stage. When we live together, our finances are mingled, so it is what it is. But the getting to know you stage, first of all, that's embarrassing because I sound broke. Like, I just sound broke and I'm unable to manage my finances. Like, and that's not a good trait to have in a potential wife, because I'm a wife, right? I've been a wife, I am a wife, and I would want to show up and be the best part of myself to this man for him to pick me. So indicating that I have bad money management skills or I'm broke just doesn't make any sense in this process of dating. So I'm just very confused how these conversations even come up, and how are these women even getting it past the vetting stage to have that conversation? Well, that sounds ghetto.
It's the new era now. I mean,
what is this era? I don't know this era.
This new era of young ladies is that, you know, the entitlement, right? If a dude ain't spending money for me, I ain't got time for him. Like they're yeah, time for money, right? It's
That's
about
prostitution.
pretty much is what it is. That's exactly what it is.
It's escorting. Like that's what escorts do. They exchange time for money.
Right. And then of course, you know, it's if you can't pay my bills, then there's nothing for stuff. You know, like the whole coffee date conversation we had last week, you know. They'll want to go on the coffee date because it seems cheap or whatever case may be. Or they talk about sex all the time. Like, baby girl. Anyway, yeah, they talk about sex all the time. Like they have the best, the wettest in the world.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I need to.
Yeah, the conversation is different from what you get from men. The conversation we get versus what you get, it ain't the same.
I have not yet in my situation, my very brand new situation with my significant other talked about my vajayjay. I've never turned around to him in text or otherwise and said, it's what? I'm confused. But again, I'm going to come back to how do those women even pass the vetting process? Because again, I put it on the responsibility of men because you do choose us. You are the ones picking us. You're the ones who's determining who's going to make the team, because I've heard those conversations, who's going to make the team and who's not going to make the team. So how are these women who are asking for phone bills and light bills and are just these type of women, how do they even get to a man who's a provider, protector male? Because that's the type of man you are, right? Because that sounds ghetto. Like for me, that's just ghetto.
Yeah.
How do these ghetto women get to you?
So at this point, those women are on the team. They're on the team. Meaning
how do they get on the team? That's a you.
No. I mean, so.
Because are they just for crotches? Are they just for clothes?
Well, saying that, like the conversation I had with you last week, I will keep you in the rotation until I find the one that I want to really invest in. You understand what I'm saying? So you're something to do until I find the right one.
That's something to do, ladies.
And I'll be real with it. You know, most men, not all men, but most men, once you're in a place of knowing who you are, you know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, okay, she won a couple $100 there. That's not going to really break you. It ain't the end of the world. Because I know what I'm getting out of it. Okay, here's $100. I know I'm gonna get without it, and I'll talk to you a couple days later on. Boom, next one. Once again, I'm just putting you on the team, not the team of long term, the short bus team where I have fun with, and then once I find the right one, you all get cut off. That's all.
But they still got on the team. So you cannot complain.
We don't discriminate. Hold on. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. We men do not discriminate. We have a whole starting lineup, backup, extra backup until we find the right one. That's what we do.
Here's the problem. Then us good women don't want to hear y'all shit anymore on the internet. Y'all can't talk about these women are this and these women are that, but you entertain those types of women.
Why not?
But you can't entertain them. Listen, it's, you know how we talk about, I'm all about let's go back to children for a second, right? Like when you reward bad behavior in a child, what do they keep doing? The same bad behavior.
Right?
They do something, you don't correct it, or you laugh at it. God forbid a child does something really bad and you laugh at it. They love that because you're like, mommy and daddy laugh. And so they do it again. And it's bad, and now you want to correct them, and they're so confused because you just laughed at it a day ago. Now I do it today, and I'm getting a slap, and the child is all confused, right?
Okay.
That's the same thing. Y'all men say that you want a certain type of woman. You want this fit, feminine, friendly, submissive, all of these things, women.
Yes.
Yet you turn around and entertain the type of women that you say you don't want. I don't get it. Hold on. As you think about that,
I got to answer. Go ahead.
I'm gonna read SB's comment, but like that's the part that for me just irritates me when I hear these conversations, because you're entertaining the same type of women you say you don't want. Anyways, SB is saying, I can attest that twins are speaking facts! Exclamation mark. I have known friends who have approached men with these requests. Their looks were a huge factor. Pretty women get a pass with having these combos. And SB, I completely agree. I understand pretty privilege very well. Like my girlfriend, I didn't even know I had pretty privilege until my girlfriend was like, you know, you've got pretty privilege. I'm like, no, men just do what I like them to do. I didn't think it was a thing, but whatever. I get pretty privilege. But at the same time, we're talking about 30-something, 40-something-year-old men and women who are supposed to be intentional about being in a relationship. So for me is, when you have intentionality, or you should be having intentionality, why would you go in with your worst foot forward? Because me sitting around and saying that I don't have good money management skills and I need you to pay my bills and I need you to do this up front, out the gate in a conversation, would say to the man that I'm interested in that I'm not wife material. SB also says, agreed, I don't feel sorry for these men who entertain these women. Facts.
And listen, and we're not asking for y'all to feel bad for us, because I'm not one of them dudes out there who's like, oh, I got this girl pregnant and out. No. See, I'm in the driver's seat now. It's a big difference. So with that being said, what you're saying is that as men like me and everyone else, we should be out here, what, educating or teaching these women how they should be?
No, I am simply saying, do not entertain the women who have bad behavior, because those are more the modern type of women that you don't want. Because if a woman is asking for money out the gate, or these women with cash apps, I've seen women with cash apps in their profiles, or which is weird to me, right? Like, we don't have cash app in Canada anyways, but like putting that information in their bios and all of this stuff that you guys are like, oh my God, there's no good women out here. But those are the same women that are being entertained. OnlyFans is being paid for by men. I have never gone on and ever thought about putting my credit card down or whatever down to go on somebody's OnlyFans page. Not in a million years. I'm not buying feet pics off the internet. We're not doing webcams. So the same women that you complain about as men, and I'm just speaking about men in general, not twins, but I hear these conversations online that there are no good women and the women are all this, but you're entertaining these very same no good women. And then you wonder why women who have a certain caliber might not talk to you. Because I'm going to be honest, I am one of those women who judges you based on other women you've talked to before me. Like, right. So, and I'm not talking like 20 years like ago, because that's ridiculous. But I'm going to ask you questions about your most recent ex. And if I start hearing things about she was toxic and she did all of this stuff, I'm automatically like, because toxic people attract toxic people.
So let me ask this question here, because, you know, are these hitting high class women, right? That we're not choosing, right? We're not entertaining these one. Where are they at? I know where they at. They're chasing the same dudes. Y'all all chasing the same dudes. No. Let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about it tonight, baby girl. We're gonna talk about y'all chasing this. You're chasing the certain dude. For example, I'm gonna use you as a case study. Oh, he got to be 6'2" or higher, 6'5", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9".
That is fact. That is fact. That's fact.
So, and mind you, the average man, the most average man is either between 5'8" to maybe 6 foot.
That's
the average man. So you're choosing from a small percentage of men who meet that criteria of being 6'5" and up. And most of them are ball players. They are, you know, if they got coordination, they're pro ball. So right now the window of trying to talk to you is got even short. I'm 6 foot, so I'm already out the mix already, because I'm a height. Right? I'm just giving an example. So on top of that too, we now have the World Wide Web. So an average Joe like me, because I'm average Joe. So the average Joe man like me, we have to compete with the World Wide Web men who got all the money to fly you in, fly you out, take you here and do that. So the good women out there, y'all chasing those same dudes. So when an average dude like me trying to holler at you, I don't have everything that Mr. Johnson had that lives in Miami, Florida. He can fly you down for the weekend, right? I can't do what he do. You know what I'm saying? I got to work my 9 to 5. I got to do X, Y, Z. So the pickings is hard. So we'll entertain all of them until we can find one. And it's like a needle in a haystack trying to find you. So that is the problem. So I understand that you're saying that, yeah, we entertain that, but that's all we left with because all the girls are sleeping with the same dudes. That's why you have women, multiple baby daddies with the same men. Because not you, but most of them are sleeping with the same men. I'll land my plane. Go ahead.
SB's out here. She said twins is dropping the mic. Listen, I am not going to disagree with the sentiment that a lot of us are going after, or I personally don't chase, but a lot of women do chase. I get chosen. However, we do entertain, and I am very guilty to say that all of the men that I have had significant relationships do fit the over 6, 2, 3. I mean, whatever, like whatever, whatever it might be. I get that. With that said, that's not all women. Like, I recognize and I own my shallowness. I will own that part of me. When it comes to that part of my dating, that is one for me that is just a non-negotiable. I like tall men. I've always been with tall men. My daughter's father is 6'7". You know, my ex was 6'9". My ex-husband was 6'5". My ex-fiance was 6'3". Like, I also have a record of tall men. It's not like I'm running around saying, you tall men, come date me. They clearly are attracted to me. So that's not my fault. My first boyfriend was 6'5" and played ball. Like, I was 15. That's not entirely my fault. I do get that. I get that our preferences do limit us, but at the same time, that's not all women. That's not all good women.
We're not speaking.
You guys are also to the point chasing the same type of women, wanting her to be traditional when she's more modern. Like, for me, yes, I'm in a group of women that those men will choose, but there are women outside of that group that a lot of men aren't checking for. There's a lot of good women that men aren't checking for because they don't meet the criteria that men say that they want. Y'all want a traditional baddie. Like, let's exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You want a traditional baddie. And even though I think a lot of them do exist, because I would categorize myself more as a traditional woman than a modern woman. So I do know a bunch of traditional baddies. It's one of those things that there's still women outside of that. You want her body to be banging. You want her face to be nice. You want her to be able to cook, clean, suck and fuck and shut her mouth. Okay, like, you want her to be able to help raise your children. You want her to do all of that, but
yes.
that type of woman is in high demand. So you can't be mad at the traditional baddie when she has options and she chooses the better option for her.
Okay, then. So you just proved my point. Then you just proved my point. So how can we get this if y'all choose? Because mind you. You
don't need a traditional baddie. Just get a nice traditional woman. Thank you, SB. I had to put that quote up on the thing. Thank you, SB girl. Okay.
But the traditional woman, they want the bad boys. They want the ballers. They want the dude who got X, Y, Z. Come on now.
Listen, I will say, I think there are a lot of women who are better understanding, rest in peace to Uncle Kevin Samuels, are better understanding that they just don't qualify for that man, right? They don't qualify for the men that they may say they want. Yes, it is a lesson that I think a lot more women need to learn a lot faster, but I think there are plenty of women who are not looking for Mr. 6'5", 6-figure, 6-inch, plays ball, whatever the case might be athlete. There's a lot of women who are perfectly fine with a good man that will love them and take care of them and be nurturing and all of that stuff. But she doesn't look like me or better than me. You guys want women who look like me or better, who again are doing all of the traditional things when there's a wonderful lady maybe at church or, feeding the homeless right now, who's a great woman who is not a traditional Like I don't want to hear no man's complaint anymore, just like I don't want to hear us women complaining, because the reality is my ass knows that if I end up lonely and single and have to have one of these Gen Z kids wipe my ass when I'm older, that's all on me, because all I want to date is 6'3" and taller men. Like, that's going to be on me. I'm going to say that to all of you tonight. If my ass ends up alone and I have to get one of these young, dumb kids to wipe my ass in 20, 30 years, that's on me. I'm sure there's a perfectly good 5'9" guy out there that I could settle down with that I just don't want. I don't want him. That's going to be on me. So it's going to be on you men when you say, I want a traditional woman, but I also want her to be 5'5", with a 27-inch waist, no taller, with 36-inch hips, with an ass that looks like it could be a BBL, but it's not, because she goes to the gym 5 days a week. Her skin is flawless. Her nails are done. She's also smart. She sucks a mean dick, but she also is godly-like and knows how to, can homeschool my children. All of these lists of ridiculous fucking things that you guys want in a woman, when Sister Mary Jane is right there in church waiting for you with her natural hair.
Anyway, it sounds good. It sounds good. It sounds good.
You know what I just said is true, because that's what I'm literally going to start calling the traditional baddie.
Yes,
you guys want a traditional baddie?
Yeah, I definitely want a traditional baddie, but them traditional baddies come with baggage now. Say they traditional baddies with baggage. They TBB.
So then, I think you need to call the men's coalition and start saying that y'all need to stop this complaining on Beyonce and Blue Ivy's internet about the fact that these traditional women don't exist. They are there. They just don't look the way we want them to look. Just like I will say to women at the next women's meeting, stop saying good men don't exist. I've met plenty of them in my life. They simply just don't look the way we want them to look. They may not make the money we want them to make. They may not be in the professions we want them to have. They can't take us to Morton's and STK on a nightly because it's freaking Tuesday. They may have to wait and save up their money for their next paycheck because they have responsibilities and they're not balling out. They can't buy bottles in a club and give us that good life, but they're just good, hardworking men. On both sides, we're wrong. Because for me, I hear the provider part, and I think people forget that the provision and protection is also protecting your heart, right? That's my biggest protection and provision. Provide for and protect my heart. Because I've met a lot of men who can provide for me financially, but they will stomp on my heart. Because they're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", make good money, know all the women want them, and Toshiba is on the team, and she's amazing, and I think she's a great woman. But if I can get Toshiba, I can also get her and her, because women see me walking with the Toshiba, and they say, oh, he must be a good man. My ex used to say that all the time. He's like, you make me look better. You make people know that I've got some money because I walked in with you. I was like, and all of a sudden, other women wanted him. Now, if he was 5'9" and not as handsome, he wouldn't get the same attention, but I also don't want that. So that's on me. Again, if a Gen Z kid's wiping my ass, that's going to be completely on me in 30 years. So let's just keep it real as men and women. Let's have this real conversation. There are good men and good women out there. We just don't want them because they don't fit what we think we deserve and want out of a relationship.
Okay, that's fair. I agree with that.
So I don't want to hear no more. Please, men, women, SBs, tell all your friends. Everybody watching, tell all your friends to come watch the show, because this is a this was a keep it real conversation. On both sides, we are wrong. On both sides, I do not want to hear these conversations anymore. There are amazing men and women out there. We just don't want them because I think a lot of us, and I'm going to include myself. I'm going to be very honest in this conversation. I think my man is supposed to have a certain look, and I don't entertain men who do not have that look. I'm like, oh no, you don't have the look that I want. It's awful. It's shallow. It's egotistical. There's a lot of things, but we're gonna have a pretend I'm just talking to my girls. I've literally had conversations with my girls where guys are entertaining me. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't meet the look standard. Like we don't look good together. Like people are gonna look at me and be like, what? Why would you do that? It's awful. Good man, I'm sure if I gave him a chance, but I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Men do that the same thing all the time. Great woman, great, right? But maybe she's a chubby church lady, right? And she's a sweet lady and she's gonna get you your home cooked meal when you come home, and she's gonna be nurturing and be your co-captain and be submissive and be feminine. I got your list here, right? She's gonna do all the things. Her body just isn't banging. She's not the type of woman where you bring her to the barbecue and your uncle is like, good job, nephew.
Well, see, the problem with that, right? The chubby one, the one you just said right there, it's nothing wrong with her being a little chubby. My only concern is that we can end chubby. You can't start out chubby.
Again, you want a traditional baddie. You want her to bring the pie to the barbecue and the macaroni pie and do all this stuff and get up in the morning. And listen, I'm Jamaican, so I get it. As a Jamaican woman, none of this stuff is new to me, right? Like we get up on Sunday and whatever days and we cook and we make sure before I left my house to go to my day party on Sunday, my whole food was cooked, right? We get up early, we cook, we clean, we do all that. So for me, this is not a thing. I'm a Jamaican. I've been growing up. I've been cooking and cleaning and ironing and doing stuff since I was 4 and 5 years old. I'm 44. It's been almost 4 decades. So these conversations are nothing for me. But you want to turn a woman who wasn't raised that way into a woman that was raised that way, and she's hot, and then you're going to be mad at her because she's not doing the traditional stuff, but traditional stuff. But she was modern when you met her, but she was a baddie.
That makes sense. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't choose her that way, but I understand what you're saying. I'm not into no business of changing a woman or molding her to be. I mean, she should be already that way. Like no one's have to mold me to be everything no one has to mold me to be a man besides my father and the men in my life molded me to be the man who I am. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, so who's your circle? Who's getting you together to be a future wife? I think overall we need these camps for men and women.
Agreed. They do have husband and wife, and they can start with the show. We will happily prepare you. And this is what we do every week to prepare you to be good husbands and wife. But let's really keep it 100% real. I'm gonna be like, the reality is when you are vetting a woman physically, you're not seeing the personality part. Like I'm also not seeing the personality of a 5'9" guy, right? Because I'm not even looking, to be honest. When I walk, my eyes actually naturally go up. I noticed it recently and I was like, damn, bitch, like you walk and your eyes are like, because I'm automatically looking up. I'm not even looking here, right? So it's awful. Like I'm not vetting for personality, but at some point, this is where the self-accountability comes in. And as a person, we have to say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. I want this result, but I keep choosing this. And it's getting me the result over here. So maybe I need to stop choosing that. Maybe I don't need a baddie after all. Because the baddie may not be the traditional woman I want her to be. The baddie's going to want me to fly her out. Because guess what? There are 10 other men who will do that for her. So maybe the baddie's not what I want. And if the baddie's what I want, then I have to be okay with that, what that baddie comes. And if I were to wife that baddie and that woman does become my wife, there's a certain expectation that my wife is going to have, and there might be certain things that I'm not going to get out of her. So I might not get the cooking and the cleaning, or you might. But you need to figure out, if you want this baddie, what are you willing to sacrifice? If I want this 6'3", caramel complexion, all of this stuff that comes with the man, are there things I may have to sacrifice to be with him? Are there things on my list that I might gonna have to forego because that man is in high demand? And the taller he gets from 6'3" to 7 foot, because I've dated anywhere between 6 foot and like 7 foot, the more shit sometimes we have to take off the list. Are we okay with that? And that's where the self-accountability comes in. Instead of getting with someone and then complaining that they're not that thing, but knowing that that thing exists, we're just not attracted to them for whatever the reason is. And that's what it comes down to.
I like it.
So to answer my question, do I think a traditional woman and a provider man exist? Absolutely. I think they both exist. However, I think we are often ignoring those people because they don't meet our wants list. Remember when we talked about the wants and needs, right? Like, I've had to learn the difference between my wants and my needs. And I was chased so long by my wants that I have had to refocus to make sure that I'm, really vetting men who are on my needs list. They have those characteristics and things that I need in this phase in my life. And I think that's what it comes down to. We are in a space where that person who could be all of the things that you want, and your list was honestly not an extensive list. I'm just going to go back to those for you who joined late, just to, it's in my draft, just to give Twins' list in terms of the type of kind of traditional woman he wanted. So you said, again, she was nurturing, she would be your co-captain, she was peaceful, she was submissive, she was feminine, she was your calm in the storm. She's the type of woman who's going to greet you when you get home and kind of give you that love and attention and affection, but also allows you to decompress from the day that you've had as a Black man. She's a great cook, so she's providing you home cooked meal, because I believe that's a way a woman shows love. That's the way I show love to my child. That's the way I show love to my man, is by cooking them a meal. And this woman also had the option with you that she can choose to work or not, right? Which I think is a great deal for a lot of women. And for me, this list is so simple, but you also want the women on this list to look like Beyonce and Rihanna.
I'm not a Beyonce fan, but I get what you're saying, though. She
or Kelly Rowland, or Nicki Minaj.
No. Anybody. We said Kelly.
I don't know. You Kelly. Want her to have these things and look like one of the top percentage women in the world.
That's unrealistic. I mean, she don't have to look like that. She just need to be healthy.
She needs to be a 7 or better.
7 better, but healthy. Just take care of yourself. For me, I don't like makeup. I don't like weave. And I don't like long ass nails. I like a natural. I mean, you can get weave put in. Just make sure it looks natural, not something just hanging down to your butt. Most Black women hair don't grow that long. Like, what we doing? Like, just be real with it. I don't like all that eyelash and stuff. So me, I'm really chill guy, right? She don't need to look like a model. That's too much. And plus, it costs too much. I gotta maintain that shit. So no, I don't want all that.
Exactly. At least you hit that nail on the head, that if you get her in that way, you're gonna have to maintain her in that way, because that's the expectation. And to me, in a place like Atlanta, isn't it like 10-1?
Mm-hmm.
So there are plenty. Listen, I've been to Atlanta enough times. There are plenty of amazing churches in Atlanta. There are plenty of social gatherings. There's business network clubs. There are plenty of places where I think these potential women are. They just may not look the way you want them to look. And it's the same message I give to women. These nurturing provider males who are going to care about your feelings, who's going to send you flowers once a week just because, who's going to be the man who's just knows that you've had a bad day and is like, babe, don't worry, I got you. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make your bath and put rose petals in it. Those men do exist. They just not might be 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", with 6 figures and 6 inches and are handsome with an athletic body and all the things that we want. Because those men are busy entertaining other women because they can't. Because there's 10 of me and 1 of him.
Correct.
So now that we've done that, well, this was a great conversation. I enjoyed this conversation. Before we sign off for the night, let me just first of all say, SB, thank you, girl, for all the comments. And I am vulnerable. I am open. This show is like, I'm going to be truthful about where I stand and my flaws. And you can see that Twins is open to being like, hey, shit, like, this is the real deal, because this is what the dialogue needs to be, is respectful discourse about really trying to understand, but also challenging our points when we're like, I don't know. So before we log off, though, what is our dating tips for the night? I will let you go first because I went first last week.
Ooh, cheater, pumpkin eater. I had it earlier. I should have read it down like you normally do. Dating tip for the ages we talk about today. It would be for me. Oh, we talked about a lot. What was the first thing we talked about? Can I defer?
No. Fine,
Oh,
I'll go first. I would say for my dating tip would be have standards. And standards are not the same as having a superficial list of things that somebody has to meet, but know that there are boundaries and certain things that you will not put up with. So I will say a standard of mine: I do not date men with multiple children, with multiple women. I don't do that. It's not something that I do. No, thank you. I have my reasons for that, and I don't care how handsome you are, how rich you are, all of that. I've had the experience. It's not an experience I like. So the moment a man says that he has multiple children's moms, it's a no from me. He could be, I don't even like Drake, but Drake, right? Like, you could have all the money in the world and want to fly me out. It's just not something that works for my life. A standard for me: I don't date men with young children. It doesn't work for my lifestyle. Again, I don't care how handsome you are. I just don't make exceptions. So for me, it's like, have standards and stick to them. I think often we have standards, but we break them for people we really like. And I really like this person, so for that person, I'm going to make an exception. But I want you to think about, why did you have that standard in the first place? What led you to that? Because you know what, like, something led you to making that decision, and you should stick to it, despite what the person might look like or make you feel or so forth. And if you do break your standard for the person, you can't get mad that they didn't live up to the expectation, because at the end of the day, you lowered your standards to be with them, and that's on you. So that would be my dating tip.
okay, good. My dating tip that I have for the fellas, and I wish I could talk to my younger self, me as well, but fellas, let's go ahead and chase the bag.
Ooh.
You chase the bag and become the best version of yourself. You'll get to the point where you be the one flying a woman out and pick and choosing who you want to deal with.
How did we get chased the bag to flying the women out? That was a lovely comment from SB. I had to put that up. Thank you, SB, for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, girl. That is funny. You go to chase the bag so you can fly the woman out. I mean, I guess that's what it's all about, right? I do agree. I think young men should be focused on their money and not their ding-a-ling. Because too many men focus on their ding-a-ling and they end up in the social media news having babies with the wrong women.
Right.
Women who are 17 years older than them and have children almost their age. But I digress. I won't name that person's name, but crazy, not my child, never. But I do agree. And I think that's the key, right? I think a lot of the complaints I hear from men sometimes is women want money. Well, we've always wanted money. Let me tell you, that has not changed.
Nope. And it won't
That
change.
has never changed. So just so this is not a modern traditional woman. We've always wanted money. And when you have the traditional family, your father gave you away to the man who he knew could provide for you. That was the giving away, right? When he handed you off and he had that quick conversation at the altar, it was, she's your problem now, right? You were to provide for her. Like, I don't need you guys coming to my home to ask for anything because I am giving her to you. So that's always been a thing. That's actually a more traditional thing, the idea of the men being provider. And that's the reality, men. Women, we like money. Period. Exclamation point. It doesn't matter what package we come in. Doesn't matter how we look. It doesn't matter for a traditional baddie, a modern hoe, right? Like, we all like money. And so get some. And then you can pick, choose, and refuse what type of women you want. And to the women, this is an extra tip we're giving you. To the women, men like women who look good. So go look good. Go into the gym, eat well, drink water, meditate, mind your business, do what you need to do, get your face fixed, whatever you need to do, get your hair done, get whatever you need to do, because men want women who look good. You cannot be mad at a man if he overlooks you for your better looking friend. That's just that's how it works.
And stop giving people kids. That's it. Keep your body right. Don't get around to kids. You'll get picked up you'll get snatched up so quick you won't believe it. Trust me.
Yeah, that. I mean, I learned my lesson. I have one child for a reason. Like, that was like my only child is on purpose, not accident. Like, I had one child on purpose. I learned my lesson, and I didn't do that. Didn't do that again. So I think that is a good thing, right? Like, don't be mad that the man you want doesn't want you if you don't look like the woman he wants.
And I get it. There's always someone out there for somebody, right? There's going to be a guy out there.
There's not.
A woman that have kids. There's going to be a guy out there who want that. But for the guys who, want what they want, they really don't want you to have any kids at all.
I hate that saying. You know how much I hate that saying, there's someone for everyone. There's not. It's just mathematically impossible.
I mean, I get that part too. You're right. But still.
This is the problem why, as women, we live in Delulu land, as the young kids call it, right? It's Delulu. It's Delulu land because they hear statements like this. Ladies, let me tell you, there isn't somebody for everybody. Some of us will die alone. I may be one of them. That is my biggest fear. I probably won't, because I, exercise, drink water, meditate, and mind my business. But I probably won't. But a lot of us will die alone. So we have to decide where are the compromises, especially when we get to a certain age. What compromises are we willing to make in this dating phase? If you want a man to love you just the way you are, that's excellent. Good luck with that. If just the way you are isn't aesthetically what he wants. And I know I'm not supposed to say this. Feminism, great. Hand of the air, whatever 65th wave we're on. But the truth is the truth. A man wants a certain package, and he will provide for that woman in that package the way he wants it. He's not just going to accept you when you're average and you come with things that don't belong to him, like children from other men. Like, we really need to start keeping it real and stop being in Delulu land. And sorry, if you're 5'8" and fat and you're broke, sir, she doesn't want you either. Like, let's just keep it real with each other, and let's not fake. Like, if you want somebody at their best, you should also be at your best. And so guess what? The traditional baddie is at her best. The provider, handsome male is at his best. The traditional baddie has worked hard to perfect her cooking skills. She's, honed her nurturing and her femininity, and she's gone to the gym and she drinks water, and she doesn't get to eat chips every day. I don't get to have chips every day. I don't get to do that. I don't get to eat cake and ice cream every day. I don't get to do that. I have to go to the gym even when I don't want to, which was today. I didn't want to go to the gym, but I had to go, and I ran and I weightlifted and I did it all because I understand the type of man that I want. He wants a certain type of woman. And so even when I don't want to walk those steps and those 10,000, 15,000 steps and run on the treadmill and you can't, and sweat is coming all over, and lifting weights and squatting and moving and jumping, I do it anyways, not just for my health, but because I understand the type of man that I want. I know what he wants. And I'm either going to be that, or I'm going to settle for the type of settle, because that's the word we use a lot as women. I'm going to settle for the man I don't want just because I need a man. And so like, I don't want these fake conversations that we're having in these kumbayas, and you know what, people should just accept you for you, and you can have 6 kids by 6 men, and someone will love you. Or even guys who think that they can have 7 kids by 6 different women. I understand it's a double standard, but the reality is a truly good woman that you guys say are so rare are not gonna look at a man with 6 kids by, 7 kids by 6 women, be like, that's the type of man that I want to lead me. He's just not. Like, I wouldn't. There's no way for me that makes sense. Like, you just have made bad decisions in your life, and you keep making bad decisions. One is one thing. Keep doing it over and over again. It just tells me something about your character. Let's keep it real, people. Like, I'm on one tonight. I don't even drink. But like, I think some of these conversations are getting so exhausting. And I'm tired of hearing them, because we're not being real with each other. We're not all going to end up with someone. There isn't someone for everyone, and not everybody's going to get the man or the woman that they think that they deserve. Because what we deserve, my last point, what we deserve and what we qualify for are 2 different things. I feel as if I deserve to be the CEO of a major corporation, but guess what? My qualifications may not match what I think I deserve, right? What do I qualify on paper based on my work experience? That's the job that I'm going to get. I'm going to go in there, get through the door, and then I'm going to have to sell myself to that hiring person as to why this job that I want, I now deserve to have, because I walked through the door. It's the same with relationships. You have to go in there and sell yourself. Nobody wants to sell themselves anymore. Every woman feels like we don't need to sell ourselves. We don't need to compete. We don't need to do that. I'm constantly competing. I'm not dumb. I know that. For the man that I want, oh, definitely I'm competing. That doesn't make me a pick-me, but I understand that he has other options. And am I going to show up as my best self, or am I going to show up as my worst self? When you go to the job interview, you show up as your best self. And I don't have on little short shorts with my booty out a door, and like my tits aren't in my manager's face. I go in because that's the job that I want. So suit, like, literally dress for the job you want. What job do you want? Do you want to be his side chick? Do you want to be his situationship, whatever the hell the situationship is? Or do you want to be his girlfriend, fiance to wife? Which one do you want to be? And suit yourself to that role. Okay, that was a long, like, roundabout way, but I was on one. I think I watched Kendra G today, and I was annoyed by some of the guests on her show just complaining, and I was like, this shit is not this hard, people. Sorry, twins, I'm done.
All right. Hey, I was letting you rock. I was letting you have your moment. She got it. I got nothing to follow with that.
I needed my soapbox moment. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back next Tuesday. If you are not following Fuck Your Feelings on Instagram, make sure you're following us on Instagram, because we may be doing a special show this Thursday at 9:30 Eastern. So make sure you're following us on Instagram, Fuck Your Feelings, the show. Also on Instagram, make sure you're also following Twins Inc. on Instagram, and also his other page, The Chop Team, DACHOP. It's actually right behind him, so you should be able to see it. Make sure you're following us both on Instagram, because again, we will likely be doing a Thursday pop-up show on Instagram with a special guest, but I will put more info on it here once I confirm. So we've had a lot of conversation tonight. I think it was good conversation. Make sure, again, you're sharing, subscribing. Let people know what this show is about. Again, we're changing the conversation around Black relationships. So those are my final word, twins' final word.
You said it for me already. You said it.
Okay, everyone. Have a good night and see you next week. Bye.
Later.